Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in. A special thank you to all of our clients and all of our supporters. And we got UFC Fight Night 65, all the way up to number 65 now. And it is going to be a action-packed, fun-filled Australian day of fighting. I am very excited for this card because I think we will get lots of finishes and very competitive matchups. And I definitely have found some fighters worthy of investing your hard-earned money in. And so I can't wait to break down these fights. Now, before I go any further, you always want to make sure that you never bet more than you can afford to lose. You always want to check your local laws and government, and also much respect to all the men and women who step into the octagon. With that all out of the way, for the units on the year, 44 plus units on the year, and I am very happy about that. Doesn't get much better than that. And let's look at UFC Fight Night 65. So we have the first fight of the night, and the homework is done, and it is now time to get the breakdown going. So Tekken, Oskilic versus Ben Nguyen. Now let's talk a little bit about Ben first. So Ben is making his debut in the UFC, making his flyweight debut also, which isn't a good thing to do, especially when you're now fighting against a very underrated fighter in Alp. So we have a newcomer, a guy who has the flashy type of fighting style. So it'll be entertaining for the crowd, entertaining for the value of the back and forth type of battle. But if Alp chooses to use his wrestling, he will have a big advantage over Ben. And just the fact that Alp has that wrestling is going to keep Ben on the defense, and it's not going to allow him to let his hands go. Where Alp is going to have the threat of the takedown and the ability to let his hands go. And he's been working at the Belmore Kickboxing Academy, and you can see the trainers there with him. So I expect Alp to look even better than he did against John Lineker. And that fight he had with John Lineker was very back and forth, a very good fight against Lineker, a guy who is at the top of the food chain. So I really like Alp a lot here. What keeps me from making him a 5-star bet or even a 4-star, have him as a 3-star pick, is that Ben is so explosive, and he is he does have power, and fluky things can happen. So I definitely don't want to get caught speeding. I don't want to get us caught speeding on that. But I do like Alp to get the win. I think Alp, with the threat of the takedown, if he mixes his takedowns with the striking, he can possibly knock out Ben. So my prediction and my bet will be Alp Tekken Oskilic, second round knockout, and he will be a 3-star pick for me. So that wraps it up for that one. For the next one, we got Vick Guic versus Brendan O'Reilly. So we have two Aussies here. For this one, it's an interesting matchup. The things that stand out in this fight is that Vick is old. I think he's 37 or 38. Brendan's 26, I believe. And as far as how they match up with their overall game, Vick will have the advantage on the feet. And if Brendan can get it to the ground, then he should have the advantage, slight advantage there. So it's very close. That's why the line is as close as it is. I think that Vick, even though he is even though he's older, I believe that he has more. His skills are more honed down. They're a little bit more, uh, more precise for a UFC type of level fighter. Whereas with Brendan, he's a bit more raw. So either way, it's hard to say. I'll have to go with Vick, though. I think the experience factor to keep the fight on the feet and outstrike Brendan should give him the edge. Now, this is a do not bet. I have zero money interested in this one. If I had to make a bet, it would be on Vick. And my prediction is he'll win a decision. But like I said, it's a do not bet, so I will not be betting it. Now, the next fight really interests me a lot, and I've been watching the line very, very closely. I was hoping that Curran would be closer to minus 175, minus 170. At one point she hit that, but now she's up over minus 200. And I firmly believe that Curran is definitely the right side here. I definitely believe that she has the ability to finish this fight, not only by submission, but by knockout. She's going to be the stronger fighter in there, the bigger fighter, the faster fighter, the hungrier fighter, in my opinion. And when I take a look at her opponent, Alex Chambers, she has never really put it all together. Not even at the Ultimate Fighter house has Chambers been able to put it all together. And she's 36 years old. I don't believe that she has what it takes here. And I think that the UFC recognizes that Curran has a ton of ability. Her fight with Paige Van Zandt was awesome. There were points in that fight where Curran had the slight edge. So I think Curran is a top prospect. I thought that Curran would beat Paige Van Zandt. I was wrong about that. But I think Curran definitely beats Alex Chambers. I would go heavier on it. I wanted to go heavier on it. But with the price where it's at, I can't go too crazy with it. So Curran by submission in round 2 is the pick, is the bet. A 3-star pick for me. And I definitely have faith in her. For the next one, Dylan Andrews versus Brad Scott. And with this one, watching their fights, Andrews seems like the type of guy who is so close to winning a fight, so close to perhaps getting a decision, maybe getting a finish of his own. But he always finds a way, whether it's an injury or something that happens, and he loses a fight. With Brad Scott, we have a guy who, in my opinion, did not display full faith in his own skills and his own takedown skills because he should have won that fight against Claudio Silva, and he didn't win it. And I think Brad Scott is better than he even knows. There's a ton of fighters that I say that about, but he is not a ton. There's quite a few though that Brad Scott does not understand how good he really is. And if Brad Scott wants to, he can go out there and get the knockout. But will he do it? Who knows? At first, I had Brad Scott penciled in as a 3-star bet. Ultimately, I had to take him off. Dylan Andrews is very prepared for this fight, very hungry. The only thing Andrews can't do is buy time. He's older now. I think he's 35 years old. He's been knocked out, injured. So I believe this matchup will be competitive. If I could get Brad Scott at plus money, that might be interesting. But where it's at right now, I have to pass on it. I do think Dylan Andrews will be super motivated, super focused on this fight, in great shape. And but the only thing he can't do is get a chin. He can't take back time. So this will be interesting. Ultimately, it's a do not bet. It's going to be a pass. If I had to bet, it would be Brad Scott. My prediction will be him by second round knockout, but ultimately, it's a do not bet. For the next fight, we have Beck Rawlings versus Lisa Ellis. Lisa Ellis taking this fight on short notice with a 15-9 record. She's a mom. She's got a gym. I've watched her fight on The Ultimate Fighter. I've watched her other fights, and I think she is checked out. I think this is something that she's doing because she's in the game, but I don't think she wants it nearly as bad as Beck. Beck's training here in San Diego at Alliance. The only concern I have for this fight is if Lisa gets to the ground and holds Beck there, if Beck just freezes up or food bars. But I don't think that'll happen. I think Beck will, her submission game will be on, her striking will be on. So I think Beck could get a finish and at least get a decision victory. With Beck having the hometown advantage, this will be a good matchup for her here. And my dog's having a dream. Lucy. Some kind of little dream there. But yeah, I think Beck is the young. Beck definitely is the younger fighter, fresher fighter, and I think that she's coming in here motivated, coming in here hungry, coming in here with a chip on her shoulder in her home country. So I definitely like Beck Rawlings here to get the win. For the next one, we have Sam Alvie taking on Daniel Kelly, and Sam Alvie, fresh off the Cesar Muchanch knockout. That was an awesome victory for him. And in this matchup, I wanted to really take my time analyzing this one because I didn't want to get caught speeding on Sam Alvie. Sam Alvie minus 400. Unbelievable. He went from plus 2 something, plus 230, plus 235 to, minus 400. And there's a reason for that, though. I think Sam Alvie will be able to keep the fight upright. Daniel Kelly, being the judo ace that he is going to want to take it to the ground. But Sam Alvie working with Team Quest, with Dan Henderson, continuing to improve his striking. He's won his last 2 by knockout, and he'll be able to keep it on his feet. I think he'll be able to knock out Daniel Kelly in round 2. As far as the bet goes, though, I'm going to pass on this one. It's a do not bet. I will have, if I had to, I would say Sam Alvie by second round knockout, and but ultimately do not bet. We have Kyle Noke versus Jonavin Webb. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. I spent a good amount of time watching these guys fight, and ultimately, I think Webb is going to want to take this fight to the ground. He's going to want to hold him there, possibly lay and pray, and Kyle Noke. And in Webb's defense, he's got some submissions, but ultimately, I think he'll try and get on top of Noke and hold him down. With Noke, he's going to want to keep the fight upright, where he's going to have a huge advantage and go for the knockout. Noke is in his home country, super motivated, in excellent shape, phenomenal shape, but very much like the previous fighter and Dylan Andrews, you can't get a chin, you can't buy time, and you can't go back. You can't go back in time. Train smarter, train your wrestling. So a lot of guys, how they say, it is what it is. You get what you get. And but I think Kyle Noke, with that extra added motivation, putting in the hard work at Jackson's with John Jones before he got his whole fiasco, and Arlovsky and all those guys, Cerrone and all those guys over there. I think that's a very good thing for him. And I think he'll be able to keep it upright. I think he'll be able to knock him out, possibly get the decision. So I like Kyle Noke here. I definitely think he will win this fight. I like him for a 3-star pick, and I'll have my money on Noke. So Noke for the win, Noke for the bet. The next one, as far as the prediction goes, second round. I think second round knockout by Noke. Daniel Hooker versus Hatsu Hioki. Now, Daniel Hooker is a fighter I've been watching for a while now. I think he has, I know he has heart. I know he won't quit, and I know he will put up a good fight for me. With Hatsu Hioki, very very similar. He's got an excellent ground game, excellent jiu-jitsu, decent wrestling, okay stand up. But I think that the motivation behind Daniel Hooker in this fight is going to be phenomenal. and I think Hatsu Hioki's motivation will be a bit less. And this one, I think, will come as a shocker. I think Daniel Hooker here is the dark horse, at least for me. He's my dark horse here, plus 260. I like him for a bet. I like Daniel Hooker, 3-star pick for me here. Definitely putting money on him. My prediction is Daniel Hooker by 3rd round knockout TKO. I think that if he can drag this fight out to the 3rd round, maybe split round 1 and 2, go into the 3rd round, I think he can put that pressure on him and get the knockout win, if not a decision. But either way, I like Daniel Hooker here for the win. James Vick versus Jake Matthews. Wow, this is a very interesting matchup here. One I've spent a lot of time breaking down. Ultimately, it's going to be a do not bet for me. At first, I thought, it's going to be Matthews. And then I went back, watched the fights. And Matthews has holes in his game. He's so young. He's got to continue improving, continue to work. And that's what he's been doing. So I don't expect to see the same Jake that I saw against Wagner Rocha. And I don't expect to see the same James Vick. It's just a matter of who's going to be improving more, who's going to show us a better, improved version of themselves. Ultimately, I think Jake Matthews has a higher ceiling. I think Jake Matthews can be better in the long run. But at this point, I have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. Some of these fights, you can't have action on every single fight. I mean, you can, but then you can run into a lot of problems if you start chasing and doing this and that. If you want to have action on every single fight and you just can't, you have to do it, then you can do tiny, small, little plays and have your fun that way, which is just fine. But as far as a serious bet, as far as a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star play with serious money, do not bet. I don't advise it. I want to wait and watch this fight, see what kind of improvements these guys have brought. Now with Vick, I think that if Vick can keep a nice distance, use his jab, he can get the advantage here. But I think Jake will be all over him, trying to get a takedown. But here's my concern. If Jake leaves his head or an arm or shoulder, even though Jake is very, very strong, I think Vick can use technique and possibly submit him, maybe land a hook or an uppercut. So ultimately, I'm going to go with James Vick. Do not bet. I think that Vick will drag out Jake into the 3rd round, and I don't think Jake has ever seen the 3rd round, at least not in the UFC. So if Vick is able to do that, I think Vick will be able to land a submission or a knockout. So ultimately, it's a do not bet. Do not bet. I'm just going to watch this one and see how it all goes down. And I could see how Jake could win it, of course. Jake could muscle him to the ground and submit him or pound him out with the ground and pound. But I'm going to go with Vick here on this one and wait and see what happens. Vick's coming into hostile territory. So it's a very, very difficult fight to predict here. So if I had to bet it, though, if I had to put money on it, it would be a small play on James Vick at plus 160, plus 165. But since I don't have to, I'm not going to, and it'll be a do not bet. Anthony Perosh versus Sean O'Connell. I was going to say the co-main event. Quite nearly the co-main event. Now, this is a very interesting fight because, as you can see, if you look at the history on Perosh, it's almost like now every 6 months he fights in Australia and Australia only. That's going to be his thing. It's almost his birthday in a day or two. And, I think he's going to celebrate in style here. I think Sean O'Connell, when it first got announced, I thought Sean O'Connell was going to have it. Went back, watched their fights, and Sean O'Connell versus Matt Van Buren. Man, Sean O'Connell has just, there's no excuses to be made for him in that fight. And I think Perosh has a heart. I think he has a determination. I think their skills are even enough to where Perosh can put the pressure on him and submit him. So I'm going to go with Anthony Perosh. I'm going to bet Anthony Perosh. I think he'll get the submission in round 2. And I expect Perosh to be victorious here and show us the Australian heart here. For the next one, we have Brad Tavares versus Robert Whittaker. Wow, what an interesting matchup here at the middleweight division. I think the key in this fight is going to be Brad Tavares' ability to put fighters up against the cage, dirty boxing, and the clinch game. Whereas Robert Whittaker is going to need space to operate. You know, Robert Whittaker likes to set up his striking, his punches, his jabs, and he's like a boxer. But with Brad Tavares, he's a bit of more of a kickboxer with the ability to stall the fight if he needs to, quote unquote, get points against the cage. So I think Brad, in a very competitive matchup, will win a decision. And but I'm not eager to bet this one either. You know, I think Whittaker has the potential to land a barrage of punches and knock out Brad, or, you know, with it being in Australia, it being going to the judges. So do not bet. If I had to bet it, it would be on Brad. I'd like the line. I would like the line to be closer to a pick'em though. And right now he's minus 130, I believe, minus 140-ish. If this was in the U.S., I would be more confident in Brad, possibly put him as a 3-star pick. But ultimately, I'm going to pass since I see some better opportunities. But my pick will be Brad by decision. And if I had to bet it, it would be Brad. Mark Hunt versus Stipe Miocic. Wow, what an interesting matchup. Very, very fun matchup. Stipe, to me, Stipe has shown that he knows and he has the tools to win fights. Stipe is not afraid to run away from a fight if he has to, if he knows he's up on the scorecards. Stipe will do what it takes to win a fight. And that means stand toe-to-toe with Junior Dos Santos. In my opinion, Stipe won that fight. I'm glad they gave it to Junior. But I think Stipe won that fight. And he just showed me just that he is a top heavyweight in the UFC. Mark Hunt coming off a loss to Verdum via knockout. But you can never count out Mark Hunt. You know, he's got that type of power. People talk about power, but Mark Hunt has power. That if you watch his highlight reel knockouts, I mean, this guy is just, not only is he have that knockout power, but he knocks guys out, and he knows it. As soon as he hits him, he knows this guy's out and done, and that's it. But ultimately, I think that Stipe, with his ability to game plan, his ability to stick to it, his ability to very smart fighter in there. You know, I've seen him run away. He ran away from Roy Nelson, I think he was running away from, because he knew he was up on the scorecards. And what I mean run away, I don't mean run away all fight. I mean run away when it's necessary, when you don't want to get knocked out. So I think Stipe will get the knockout here. I think it won't come until round 3. And as far as a bet goes, do not bet. If I had to bet it, if I had to be on a side, it would be on Stipe. It would be inside the distance. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me if Stipe wins a decision. I wouldn't lay the minus 240 though on Stipe. If I had to, it would be the inside the distance prop. But I'm not interested in betting this fight. I'm gonna sit back, relax, and hopefully by the main event, the co-main event, we will have cashed out, real happy, hooting and hollering, jumping up and down, woo, yeah! So screaming so hard that they can hear us here in the States, all the way down in Australia. So that wraps up the picks. Now for the MMA dogs, my official MMA dogs, UFC Fight Night 65. I was looking for 5-star bets. Fortunately, nobody made it that far. Looking for 4-star bets. Unfortunately, nobody made it that far either. But 3-star bets, there's quite a few. Curran, Tekken Oskalic, Beck Rawlings, Anthony Perosh, Kyle Noke, and Daniel Hooker. For the bets, I already released 2 of them. First one was Tekken Oskalic at minus 178 plus Curran at minus 201. That equals plus 134. 1.2 units to win 1.61 units. So that was the first one. That was back. That was on PinnacleSports.com back on 5/6/15. And the second one was also all Tekken at 178 plus Beck Rawlings at -165 for plus 151, 1.20 to win 1.81 units. Also at Pinnacle on 5/6. The next bet, Curran -219 plus Kyle Noke at -110 equals plus 178. 1 unit to win 1.78 units. That was on Pinnacle Sports today at 10:30 p.m. Fourth bet, Curran at -219, Anthony Perosh at -140 equals plus 150. 1 unit to win 1.5 units. Same website, same time. And for these, we use a third-party verification. We actually use, for our stuff, we use 3. Now we're up to 3 third parties. So that way there's no questions, no silly things. It's 3 third parties with a video. So that way there's no question about it. Yeah, you can find it all on the website. So let's see, that was the fourth one. So the fourth one was Curran -219, Perosh -140 equals plus 150, 1 unit to win 1.5 units. The fifth bet, Kyle Noke and Anthony Perosh plus 227. We take the both of them. Noke at -210, Perosh at -140. So half a unit to win 1.14 units. The sixth bet, Daniel Hooker at plus 260, half a unit to win 1.30 units. And the seventh and last selection is a round robin. So a round robin of 3s, and there are 5 picks. So it would be 10 parlays at 0.04 units each. So the total bet is 0.40 units to win 1.35 units. So the round robin of 3s is Curran at -220, Tekken Oskilic at -185, Beck Rawlings at -175, Anthony Perosh at -140, and Kyle Noke at -110. That one's at 5 dimes. And so round robin of 3s. So it's 10 parlays at 0.04 units each. Total bet is 0.40 units to win 1.35. So the grand total is 5.80 units to win 10.49 units. So those are it. Now, obviously, you don't have to watch the whole video to get all the bets. I send them over to my dog. Then he releases them on our website to the third-party verification. And that's it. Nice and easy, nice and simple. You don't have to wait to the video to get the bets in. And it's all in text file. We also have a little quick view file where you can look at them all quickly. We have the detailed text. You can see the detailed text. I have the video, so you can watch the video if you want to. And that pretty much, not pretty much, that sums it up. So, phew, I got an early morning tomorrow. I'm very excited for these fights. Looking for a nice, big, profitable night. And that sums it up. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. There's some very nice new additions coming, some new videos, some new studio type of work I've been doing here at my house. So I'm very excited to release that. I was gonna shoot the video for this video. I was gonna shoot this video in the studio, but it's not ready yet. So I think hopefully for the next week, if not the week after that. And then also I'll be releasing some videos covering topics, covering betting things, covering lines, that type of thing. So just putting in more work, putting in more videos, and having a great time doing it. So thank you guys. Thank you to all of our clients. Thank you to all of our supporters, whether you're a every week type of client. Of course, those are our favorites. But if you buy when you can afford to, or you buy when you want to profit, we appreciate that too. So thank you guys for the support. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I know I will. So hope to talk to you guys real soon.